In a small village nestled among the hills of Maharashtra, there lived a man named Arjun. Born into a devout Brahmin family, Arjun's life from an early age was steeped in the rituals, traditions, and philosophies of Hinduism. His family followed every custom with unwavering devotion, performing daily prayers, reading scriptures, and observing religious festivals with great reverence. For Arjun, this way of life was all he knew and all he expected for his future. A life of devotion. As a child, Arjun was taught the sacred verses of the Vedas and Upanishads. He learned the importance of dharma, righteousness, karma, action, and moksha, liberation. His parents instilled in him a deep respect for the gods and a sense of duty to uphold the traditions of his ancestors. Arjun embraced these teachings, believing that through them, he would attain spiritual fulfillment and eventually, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Yet, as Arjun grew older, a quiet restlessness began to take root in his heart. Despite his outward devotion, he felt a lingering emptiness within. The rituals that once brought him comfort now seemed mechanical, devoid of the deep spiritual connection he longed for. He began to question the very foundations of his faith, wondering if there was more to spirituality than the rituals and dogmas he had been taught. One day, while visiting a nearby town for a religious festival, Arjun stumbled upon a small bookstore. Among the many scriptures and religious texts, his eyes fell upon a book about the life and teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Curious and drawn by an inexplicable pull, Arjun purchased the book and began to read. As he delved into the story of Buddha, a prince who renounced his royal life in search of truth, Arjun was captivated. The idea of someone leaving behind all worldly pleasures and comforts to seek enlightenment resonated with the growing disquiet in his soul. Buddha's teachings on the nature of suffering, the impermanence of life, and the path to inner peace struck a chord deep within him. Arjun found himself reading late into the night, unable to put the book down. The more he read, the more he realized that Buddha's journey was not so different from his own. Both were seeking answers to the fundamental questions of existence. But while Arjun had been following the path laid out by his ancestors, Buddha had forged his own, guided by his inner voice and deep contemplation. Inspired by Buddha's story, Arjun decided to embark on a journey of his own. He didn't want to abandon his faith or convert to another religion. Rather, he sought to understand the teachings of Buddha more deeply, to see if they could offer him the peace and fulfillment he craved. Arjun began visiting Buddhist monasteries and temples, speaking with monks and reading more about the Dhamma, the teachings of Buddha. He practiced meditation, learning to quiet his mind and observe his thoughts without judgment. The simplicity and focus on mindfulness in Buddhism appealed to him, offering a stark contrast to the elaborate rituals of his own religion. As Arjun continued his exploration, he noticed subtle yet profound changes within himself. The restlessness that had plagued him for so long began to subside, replaced by a growing sense of peace. He found joy in the present moment, no longer preoccupied with the future or burdened by the past. The teachings of impermanence helped him let go of his attachment to material possessions and rigid beliefs. Rather than keeping his newfound insights to himself, Arjun felt a strong urge to share them with others. He realized that the teachings of Buddha could offer valuable perspectives on how to live a more meaningful and peaceful life. He began to incorporate the principles of mindfulness and compassion into his daily interactions and started sharing these teachings through community gatherings and public talks. Arjun's approach was not to criticize or replace his own traditions but to enrich them with new insights. He invited people from his community to join him in exploring these teachings, presenting them as complementary rather than contradictory. His sessions included practical exercises in mindfulness and discussions on how Buddhist principles could enhance their understanding of traditional practices. As Arjun spoke to more people, he noticed a gradual shift in the community's perspective. Many were intrigued by the simplicity and depth of Buddha's teachings. They found that the practice of mindfulness and meditation complemented their existing rituals, adding a new dimension to their spiritual lives. Arjun's talks were not just about Buddhism. They were about finding a universal truth that transcended individual beliefs. Arjun's story demonstrates that spiritual growth is a journey of discovery and integration. By embracing the teachings of Buddha, he was not abandoning his Brahmin heritage but expanding his understanding of spirituality. His efforts to share this wisdom with his community show that true spiritual insight is not about division but about enriching and enhancing one's path. Arjun's transformation highlights the power of openness and the courage to explore beyond traditional boundaries. His story teaches us that wisdom and truth can come from various sources and that integrating diverse perspectives can lead to a more profound understanding of ourselves and the world. Through his journey, Arjun illustrated that the essence of all spiritual paths is to guide us toward a deeper connection with the divine and a more meaningful life.